Hey, it's Tempostorm Potwasher here to talk about the 3 decks in the Steel Rebellion expansion you've probably lost ladder points to already. Let's take a look at successful versions of Midrange Sword, Series Shadow, and Dark Feast Spat Blood, and examine some of the core cards of each deck. The first deck is Midrange Sword. The game plan for Midrange Sword has not changed much from the last expansion. Control the board, push damage with Leod the Crescent Blade, and use Assassin to ambush commander cards. Finally, finish the game using Latham and storm damage from hand. 2 new powerful additions to the deck that help with this are Alicia Skysaber and Ivory Sword Dance. Both cards are great options that can strengthen your own board while clearing your opponent's followers. Let's take a look at some of the key cards in Midrange Sword and some common options to fill the rest of the deck. Right now, there are about 28 core cards that most Midrange Sword decks play. With the addition of Alicia, the value of 1-cost officer cards such as Rapier Master and Quickblader have gone up significantly. We even see players opting to play cards like Sellsword Lucius. Over time, deck lists seem to be moving from using Usurping Spineblade to Ivory Sword Dance. Ambush cards like Leod or even setup cards like Frontline Ramparts make Evolve Phase plus using Ivory Sword Dance with Enhance on turn 5 very powerful. Midrange Sword strikes a great balance of attacking and controlling the board. With Alicia and Ivory Sword Dance, the deck consistently gets tools to control the board and is much less reliant on a positive usurpation compared to the previous expansion. The small combination plays utilizing Leod and Alicia can deal so much damage that you don't even need Latham on 8 to finish the majority of Midrange Sword games. One card I was surprised by was Ernesta, Magic Dealer. It's much more difficult to get a lot of loot cards right now, so you'll generally have to discard regular cards, but Ernesta can exchange an awkward card in your hand for another draw and make the deck even more consistent. The next deck is Series Shadow. Let's take a look at the common cards in this deck. The reason why I've been calling this deck Series Shadow instead of Arca Shadow or Midrange Shadow is because players only seem to agree on about half of the deck list so far. Everyone is still trying to figure out how many copies of key cards such as Giln Elise, Cerberus, Nicola, and Arcus to run. Everyone is running 3 series though, and it has been very important for the game plan of the deck. If you play series on turn 5 in exchange for not being able to play any cards above 2 costs on turn 6 while using the Eternal Vow, on the following turns you can combine many lower cost cards with Arcus, or play multiple cards along with Gremory in hands, or play a 7-cost Fafnir to clear an entire board. Series has led to prioritizing playing more 2-cost cards, such as Undying Resentment, and sometimes fewer copies of cards like Orthoris and Cerberus. Currently, the most common lists run 3 copies of Arcus and 2 to 3 copies of Nicola, instead of running a lot of card draw with Soul Conversion or Ghoul, or playing 3 copies of Nicola. This specific list runs multiple copies of Lyria and Giln Elise. Personally, one of my favorite cards is Buffalo Bones. It's especially a great card for the mirror going first, against Blood, and against Dragon, so basically most of the most popular decks right now. I'd recommend trying it out. And for the final deck today, we have Dark Feast Spat Blood, or Self-Damage Blood. After the introduction of Floros and the card mechanic Invocation, Dark Feast Spat Blood became a true powerhouse in the Omen of the Ten expansion at the end of last year. Although the deck wasn't very popular during the Altar Sphere expansion, with Steel Rebellion, we have a new powerful card for the deck, Unleash the Nightmare. It puts 2 follower cards into hand while maintaining board presence with 2 1/1 followers. One difficult part about Unleash the Nightmare is that it won't draw 0-cost cards that are necessary in order to invoke Floros. Unleash the Nightmare also makes it more likely to end up with a hand full of cards that can't increase the number of times Bloodcraft dealt damage to themselves on their own turn. The difficulty in Dark Feast Spat right now is managing the number of self-damage cards and other cards in the deck. About 35 of the same cards are used in most lists, and there aren't many options for the rest of the deck, making this deck much more refined than Midrange Sword or Series Shadow. However, it's still very much up in the air what to run with the remaining card slots. Since Floros can be drawn when using Unleash the Nightmare, some players choose to run 3 copies of Floros in order to have a greater chance of leaving one in the deck to invoke later. Other players have the exact opposite logic and run 2 Floros so that it gets pulled less often from Unleash the Nightmare. Flor's Invocations, Vera, and Vonreg are still tough to deal with, definitely making Dark Beast Bat a deck to look out for. Midrange Sword, Series Shadow, and Dark Beast Bat are all very powerful decks in the new expansion, but there's a lot of room in current deck lists to optimize. It's a great time to experiment with different options depending on what you're facing. Thanks for watching, this has been Templestone Potwasher. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/potwashers, or watch my stream at twitch.tv/potwasher.